How did people in the past manage their money? Today, we're familiar with terms like stocks, mutual funds, crypto, even NFTs, but before all of these existed, how did previous generations keep their finances stable? Did they also invest? The answer is yes, but in much simpler ways, relying on everyday logic. And even though their methods may seem old-fashioned, many of their principles are still highly relevant and worth adopting today. Let's dive in. Simple financial principles. People in the past followed a very straightforward rule: don't spend more than you earn. They didn't have budgeting apps or even know terms like cash flow, yet they instinctively understood, if you make X amount of money, you shouldn't spend it all, you must set some aside. For example, a farmer who just harvested his crops wouldn't spend everything at once. Part of it was used for daily needs, while the rest was saved for emergencies. Sometimes, they even converted their surplus into durable goods like rice, oil, or cloth, which was an early form of financial management. They knew income wasn't always consistent, so being prepared for tough times was essential. This simple principle is actually the foundation of all investing, delaying short-term pleasures for long-term gain. Gold as savings. Before bank accounts existed, gold was the most trusted form of savings. Why? Because it was tangible, held intrinsic value, and resisted inflation. Our parents or grandparents often bought gold jewelry, not to show off wealth, but because it was a safe way to store money. In times of need, it could be pawned or sold. The logic was simple. Instead of leaving cash at home where it could be easily spent, turning it into gold made it harder to use impulsively. Plus, gold's value remained relatively stable and often increased over time. This made gold a simple yet effective way to protect wealth. Land and agriculture. One of the smartest investments in the past was buying land or farmland. But it wasn't just about owning land, it was about using it. Land could be cultivated, rented out, or passed down to the next generation. This was a very real long-term investment. Even today, many families still rely on inherited rice fields or rental properties for income. The logic is clear. Land prices rarely drop, and over time, they usually rise, especially when the area develops. Interestingly, many people back then bought land not because they were rich, but because they understood that owning land meant economic security. Even if they had to work odd jobs, having a plot to grow food ensured survival. Community saving systems. We might think of arisen rotating savings groups as just social gatherings, but in reality, they were simple yet effective saving and lending systems. Everyone contributed a fixed amount regularly, and each person would take turns receiving the pooled money. This allowed members to access a lump sum without interest or collateral. For those who struggled to save on their own, this system was perfect. It forced discipline through group commitment. There were also cooperatives, especially in villages or workplaces. Members pooled their funds, lent money at low interest, and shared profits equally, called CHU, or surplus results. These systems weren't just about money. They were about trust, discipline, and community support, values that kept them relevant for generations. Investing in children's education. Lastly, something often overlooked, people in the past invested heavily in their children. They worked tirelessly, saved for years, and sometimes sold land or livestock to pay for schooling. Why? Because they believed education could change a family's future. The logic was clear. Even if parents weren't wealthy, their children's success could lift the entire family's standard of living. This strategy worked. Many of us today enjoy better opportunities because of the sacrifices made by earlier generations. Beyond formal schooling, they also instilled values like honesty, frugality, hard work, and responsibility, traits far more valuable than money itself, shaping financially independent and resilient individuals. Timeless lessons. Those were 5 traditional ways people in the past managed their money. Even without technology or digital platforms, they maintained financial health and often grew their wealth step by step. The key was simple logic: don't be wasteful, save little by little, use what you have wisely, and always plan for the future. Times may have changed, but the core principles remain the same. And sometimes, the old-fashioned way is wiser than modern methods that are flashy but risky. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.